All right, all right, all right. If you know, you know. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
And we will see who wants to join the panel to get comfortable after being uncomfortable. Recap from this past Monday's broadcast, Back to School Blues, what adults need to be concerned about. Parents and guardians, please go back and watch the replay. We might just give you something to think about. You can watch on the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Also, don't forget the Reels, which give you a quick glimpse of the broadcast on Facebook, IG, YouTube, and TikTok. Okay, let's push forward to tonight, Monday, August 26th, which the topic will be forgiveness. Why is it important? Well, forgiveness isn't always easy. It requires courage, empathy, and willingness to let go. Join us as we delve into the complexities and benefits of forgiveness and discover how this simple yet profound practice can change your life and the lives around you. Also, please like and share our video. And don't forget to tell a friend to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. We are ever so close to reaching the next goal. While sitting on 898 subs, we are two away from 900. Let's get it done tonight. Subscribe, subscribe, and subscribe, people, if you haven't. All right, here we are tonight. Oh, what a day. What a day. Um, and I'll just begin with that. First day of the 2024 school year, opening up a brand new building. Man, for 4.5 hours of just madness. I probably was sweating bullets within the first 30 minutes of work. And it was just like nonstop. To finally, I said, because we as the counselors were working out of the library. Finally, I said I had to go in my office. I can't work under these conditions because it was cooler, and things settled in, and thought we had a pretty good day. I mean, the school is huge, and like the room numbers and the tower. So all up until today,
oh,
all up until today, I didn't even had no idea how to get to the classrooms, and I was just as confused as the kids. But one thing I know, and I always talk about the art of teaching, um, is demonstration, um, correction. Well, no, demonstration, imitation, correction, and then repetition, because that repetition that I kept going up and down stairs and trying to figure it out where these rooms at. The last few kids I helped out, we just got there like seamlessly, like it was easy. So now I feel like I got a grasp of the building that fast, but it just takes that repetition to do something over and over and over. And by the way, like I was telling my kids, some of the faculty, I probably will be down 40 by the end of the year easily. Easily. I got to count my steps, whatever, because I listen to other teachers and administrators. They're like, oh, I got 14,000 steps in today. I'm like, yeah, it's like that. It's damn sure going to go down with all the movement that's going on. But that's that. Day two tomorrow, year 20 in Baltimore County Public Schools, and day one in Nottingham Middle School. So another journey. So I'm looking forward to all that it brings and what comes out of it. So that's that. What's going on with you, Big Bad Wolf?
man, I have nothing really, substantial to report, man. I finally got a handle on that backyard of mine where I probably should be a month and a half ahead, but due to scheduling conflicts and me taking it easy, I got off the horse. So now it's time to get back on the horse. And speaking of weight loss, that's something I got to get my behind back in gear with too. So not much going on here. Trying to figure out what Dallas's final roster is going to be, so I can see what the squad is going to look like in planning a family getaway. So now that's about it, man. The summer is rolling to a close, so that means a little less hectic. I suppose hectic, hectic, just being hectic at work, and I'm oddly enough, I'm kind of looking forward to fall. So, it is what it is, man. That's all it's gonna be.
Well, I wish I could say that the summer was ending temperature wise, because I think we got some days coming up this week. I looked at the forecast; it's gonna be like 99, and that ain't gonna work. That is not gonna work for me. Unless they want to write me up, because I'm coming in there with a wife beater on tomorrow.
It's been, the funny thing, the last 2 weeks, it's been in the high 60s, mid 70s here. It's been real pleasant. I mean, like really, really pleasant, to the point where I'm thinking, is this winter going to be really cold? Because usually when we have and mind you, the summer hasn't really been that mild. It's only been the last couple weeks. So it's just kind of weird, but I am not complaining at all.
Give me that 75 all day long. I gladly take it. Gladly. I hate to be too hot. Hate to be sweating bullets. It's an uncomfortable thing.
Like, today when I went out to cut the backyard, it was the sun was out, so it was warmer, and mosquitoes just ate me up, man. They was like, oh, get him. Got my behind.
All right, we got Sweetie. Is that Anita Baker?
I think so.
It is. Hello.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, speak if you can hear me then, Big Bad Wolf.
We can hear you. Go ahead. The question, the ball is in your court. What's new?
Oh, there's nothing new here. COVID's going around. That's new.
Yeah, I think I have a coworker that has it too. So yeah, people be vigilant about that. Absolutely.
That's it.
Is they still calling it COVID, or is they just saying it's the flu now?
Bunch has it.
Say that again.
It's still COVID.
Oh.
It's still COVID.
Well, I know, like one of my PDs, one of the nurses, the nurse said that COVID is officially over, and they calling it like a strand of a flu.
Oh yeah, I've heard that as well. But I don't know how the diagnosis changes. And
well, it's still coming up positive on COVID tests.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say they don't label it as such, but I mean, what else do you call it? Because they don't necessarily term different strains of the flu by the actual virus, but being that COVID was so virulent, I think they left it in a classification of its own. That's just my thought. I don't know. I haven't had it, haven't been diagnosed with it, so I'm just hoping. I know, kind of hoping it stays that way.
The crazy thing is, that was like 4 years ago. Like, this how fast time fly by. Like,
yeah, my mom took a test today. She's positive.
Oh, geez.
Well, it's about to be that season, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess people can. We had a professional development. I see people was it was over probably like 300 some people there, so people was masked up during that time. So I was like, yeah, they thinking ahead of the game, like being around all these people. They trying to be safe. So I probably should throw on a mask, but I just be too hot. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Just can't do it. But who knows?
You want to throw on a mask or get COVID?
Well, the thing about that is this. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I definitely don't want to get that, but I also want to be comfortable too. That means a lot too. So I guess if I get COVID, I'm not going to be comfortable. I wouldn't be in there for that amount of times. But I guess according to the nurse, she said that you don't even there's no such thing as COVID pay anymore, or all those days off. Once you have 24 hours free with your temperature, to normal, then you can return back to work or whatever else you got going on. So,
That's crazy
well, they didn't
because
change.
it's still catchy. There's no such thing as it's not catchy after 48 hours or 24 hours.
Well, that's
It's
with
still
anything, though. I
contagious.
mean, yeah, but that's with anything. Even take something as simple as a common cold. People walking around asymptomatic
As a
all the
what?
time with very. Say that again, Anita.
No, I heard you. Never mind.
Okay. People walking around asymptomatic with a lot of things that are contagious, whether the level of contagion is always dependent on two things: your health, the person's health that you may come in contact with. So, and they always talk about risk management, as David said, they did the personal development today, and they probably discussed that. That's always going to be contingent upon who you're exposed to. Now, in elementary school, because kids are exposed to other kids and kids don't understand sanitation, washing your hands or covering your mouth or face when you sneeze or cough, that always increases the exposure. But if you go to places where sanitation is a rule, then that drastically is going to cut the risk you have to anything that you have. This is why when you go to, let's say if you go to a burn unit in the hospital, your risk exposure for contracting anything is extremely
A what?
low. A burn unit in the hospital, because everything's sterilized, because the person you're going to see has no skin defenses and they're very vulnerable to pathogens. So that place is extremely sterile. They make sure the people going into the visit, nurses, they're all masked up, following protocols to make sure that that person isn't exposing anything. So when you look at your risk management and your exposure, that plays a huge role in a lot of that. So take myself. I work with the public. So my risk exposure level is very high. I'm handling money. Very dirty thing. This is why you consistently see people who work with money or work with the public. They're consistently probably washing their hands, or at least they should, especially if they're handling currency. Also, another thing they teach you when you work with money is to never use the front of your hands to touch your face. Always use the back of your hand. So if you're sweating, you itching, do this. Never use the front, because that's where the potential, especially since your nasal cavities, your mucous membranes are here, that's where you have the potential to actually spread germs and then ingest them. Because the moment you do this and do this, you've already ingested whatever's on your hands, and it's too late. So if your immune system is weak, more than likely you're going to get sick, and then that gets into a whole bevy of things in regards to your health, sleep, and all that other stuff. But yeah, that's risk management is huge, especially as David said, you coming into the time of the year where flu is just going to be going around, just like the common cold, just like anything. So start now. Start the health regimen now. So if your health regimen is tea tree oil and honey or whatever it is, start it now. That way, when October, November hits, you're set. Your body's in the position to ward off all those pathogens. And if you do get sick, it'll help to minimize the length of time that you are sick.
Yeah, so I know folks, we talk about a little bit of everything in the counselor's corner, so you just never know. But to get to the meat and potatoes of the topic tonight, forgiveness and why is it important? Well, Big Bad Wolf, what triggered your mind on this subject matter about forgiveness? Because it's something that some people do, some people try to do, some people just can't do it. They just not built like that. Once you cross them, you're done. It's over. Stick a fork in it. And
Yeah.
we live like that in so many ways that people, deal with certain things on different spectrums that you just never know who you're gonna run across. And you be like, damn, they just have they just cut folks off. They cut game is so strong.
Before I answer that question, I'm going to ask this one. And I want people to really consider what the answer might be. Because for me, there's only one answer, one accurate answer. I'm not going to say correct, one accurate answer. Who has the ability to potentially wrong you? And I'll give you that answer before we wrap up the broadcast. Now, I'm surfing the social media pages, especially on Facebook, because I'm on TikTok, but I haven't used it because the other phone I can't access the app. So, and there was a post, and I don't remember if I got it from Blair's page. More than likely, I think I did. And they were talking about Simone Biles' mother, who at the time she had her couldn't take care of her, so she had gave her to her father, which is admirable, because not a lot of people will do that. A lot of people will tend to take their child down or the children down with them, and that's unfortunate because the child really is, they have no say so, especially at such a young age. So she was saying that she wanted to reconnect with Simone, and Simone was like, I'm having none of that. And there were people going back and forth in the comments about she needs therapy, she needs this, she needs that. And I'm thinking, why? Why does Simone need to have her mother in her life? Now, when we talk about forgiveness, I think a lot of people are still hung up on the notion that just because you forgive somebody for a transgression means you have to establish a relationship with them. And I want to be mindful when I say this, people, you do not. You absolutely owe that person nothing. Okay? I want you all to understand that. We always talk about mental health on this particular platform, and there's a particular reason why, because that governs a lot of what we do. And when I say we, I'm speaking of everyone that you come in contact with. Your mental health is going to dictate how you react to situations. It's going to dictate how you treat people in situations. Everything, literally everything you do, I don't care who you are, stems from your mental health. So if your mental health is good, even in a bad situation, you're going to find a healthy way to deal with that situation. And understand what healthy means. Healthy means for your mental well-being, not for somebody else's. Because you'll hear a lot of people will say, you shouldn't have done that. You should have done this. And what I would tell people is, when someone tells you that, ask them why. Don't try and argue with them. Don't try and debate them. Ask them why. Because more often than not, you'll find a lot of people are motivated by what makes somebody else feel better. And I will tell you this. You're not obligated to make somebody else feel better if it costs you your mental peace of mind. And a lot of people will do that. They will bend over backwards. They will say, well, I did this for you, I did this for you, and I did this for you, and you don't reciprocate. You don't give me anything. Until them, I would say, stop doing that. Put your own mental health first, second, and third. Because if you're not well, then you're going to make the people around you unwell. And I know that sounds kind of odd. I'm just like, how can you make the people around you unwell? Well, let's look at it like this. If you come home from work and you're married and you have kids, whether you're a husband or wife, and you're having a bad day and you start yelling at people, how do you think those people are going to feel? Think they're going to feel good? Or you think they're going to want to get away from you? More than likely, they're probably going to want to get away from you. So if you're coming around people and they're looking at you kind of funny, or the conversation tends to get quiet, they're probably talking about you. Probably don't like you. Probably don't want you around because you, well, what blanket? You a sport. I would tell you, examine what it is that you always doing, the things that you say, and the vibe that you bring. Because rarely have I ever seen somebody that's well liked that people don't want to be around. Rarely have I seen anyone that is upbeat, positive, unless that person's just don't like those kind of people. People don't want to be around. And it's funny. I will say this, and I will give my own personal testimony. Despite the way that I grew up, when I walked across the stage at the Niagara Falls Civic and Convention Center in June of 1992, I said to myself, I no longer have anyone to blame for anything I don't accomplish in life. Because at that time I got my diploma. I was a healthy person, sound mind and body. I said I can go out and do anything that I put my mind to. And I think when a lot more people get to a point in their lives where they understand that if you want to use the term happiness, I don't use the term happiness for me. I always use contentment because happiness is fleeting. As far as I'm concerned, you happy one day, you sad the next, or you happy one moment, you sad the next. All of that stuff plays, and so I'm a content person. Even when things go wrong, I'm content because I have the ability to fix what's wrong. That's because I try to keep myself on a mental keel that's even. It's never too bad. It's never that great, but it's always straight ahead, no matter what. Okay, I'll deal with this tomorrow, or let me figure out how I can deal with this now, how I can get to the next step, and whatever I can do, I'll be able to do. Going forward, I'm always trying to move forward. I'm never moving backwards. Moving backwards is not my thing. I'm always forward. So that's how I got here.
Okay. And one of the things you said, and I have Anita, if she got anything to add to it, I always talk about greater than, less than, equal when you're dealing with people. It's mathematics. Life is about math and science mainly. And again, if you don't know what that means, if somebody gives you greater, you give them greater. If they give you less than, you give them less than. And equal is equal. So when you feel like I'm doing or putting out more in any type of relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship, whether it deals with your family, work, and you feel like I'm constantly putting out and they're not reciprocating, they're giving me less than, sooner or later you have to wise up and say, hey, I'm going to get them less than. You can say, no, I'm not built like that. I'm just all around nice person. And sooner or later, well, most people probably won't see it, but more than likely you somewhere at the end of the night balled up in a fetal position, wondering why people don't treat you the way you treat them. But when you start trying to balance things out and you say, say for example, you down on anything they want to do, anything, you're fair game. Okay, we can do it. Then you suggest something. They never got time. They never want to do it. And just, kind of, it doesn't matter. And you feel empty inside. How long are you going to feel like that? How long are you going to let it go on without balancing out and being able to say no to them sometime or call them out on their shit? See, that's where you got to get to have that ability to do that, because a lot of times people walk around, like Herb said about with the mental health thing. That's mental health. Shit, we all got to go through mental health. It's how you handle it, how you respond to situations. If you let people continuously beat you up all day long and throughout at work, at home, and all that. Shit, you're a candidate to be knocked the hell out. Basically. So sooner or later, you're gonna have to say, man, this person for me, this person, not so much, and you have to decipher how you move. If you can't do that, then you're gonna be headed down a dead end street. So you have to start self awareness, reading people and understanding. Like everything ain't guaranteed. And unfortunately, family, friends, coworkers, and all that, you're not locked into those relationships. And I know some of you like, wait a minute, family. Oh, we should always. Nah. And not if they driving your mental health down. You got to cut them off. You only got one life. You only got one life. And if you're a parent and you're somebody valuable to other people and you got other members of your family driving you down, you got to let them go. You got to cut them off. Got to. And I think a lot of times, and I know y'all like, oh, here we go. Always got to talk about mothers and all that. I know y'all mothers. Y'all just want to hold on and just let anything, your sons, your kids, they can come in, rob you blind, steal out your purse, and you still open up to them. And meanwhile, the dad, they be like, yo, excuse my language, don't let that motherfucker back in here. Or don't let her back in here. Because he understands, like, listen, I ain't trying to go through this. And every time they come around, even though it's our child, they leave us in stress mode. And we getting too old for that shit. Because a lot of times people want to play hero ball and only go for so long. And sooner or later, like I said, stress and all that stuff kill. So you better be mindful in the choices that you make. If you one who want to be Mother Teresa and all that stuff, and you can't control those situations, if it's a situation you have no control over of the outcome, stay the fuck out of it. For real. You could just be moral support, but stay out of it. Because other than that, you're just wrecking your brain. All right, that's it. I'm just wanted to drop a few jewels on y'all. Nita, you got anything for us?
Yep, I got a whole lot.
Okay.
I would say Herbert probably forgave me for not cooking chili with ground turkey. Huh, Herbert?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm forgotten one, but that's okay.
You're over it.
I'll live.
So I would say if it's something minor, everybody messes up. Nobody's perfect. I mean, if it's something minor and I'll be mad for a minute and then I'm usually happy-go-lucky. I'll be like, la-di-da, okay. I'm over it or I forgot about it. But if it's something that is really racking my nerves and really eating at my brain, I'm going to stay mad about it for a while. I might not say anything because sometimes when I say something, it just doesn't come out the right way. But, yeah, doesn't come out the right way. But I had a recent situation where a good friend of mine, this person, my best friend since elementary school, she never have time. She works. But, it was like our birthdays are around the same time. And we were supposed to go somewhere, for something simple, just wings and a drink in Buffalo. And then she's like, "Oh no, I told you I was available this night," and blah blah blah. Okay. Well, then I saw Facebook pictures because it comes up in the timeline, whatever the feed,
Oh,
and she had like a little gathering for her birthday in her backyard. She lives on the same block. I was like, that is so like messed up. I was very hurt. And then her and her sister-in-law went to Lilydale. I was like, oh, I would have went with you guys because, you know, just for the day, just to get together. I'm pretty like flexible like that. Usually somebody says, let's do this, I'm down. Whatever. And
your
then her
volume keeps
sister
cutting in and
buys
out,
her.
Anita.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't know if you're moving back and forth from your mic or whatever, or you got something that's wireless on.
Oh yeah, I got my Bluetooth headphones on.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So anyhow, and then her sister always buy her like concert tickets without like, you know, kind of asking her. And I'm like, okay, cool. You spend time with your sister. Cool. You spend time with your sister-in-law. Cool. You got whatever. But damn, I was very hurt, offended, whatever you want to call it, salty. So I was like, girl. So I finally texted her after I didn't hear from her for, I don't know, like 10 days or whatever. Damn, can you hear me still?
Yes, you're fine. Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to turn my mic. But anyway, I hadn't heard from her for like 10 days. I finally texted her. I said, you know what? Don't even worry about being best friends anymore because you got time for X, Y, and Z, but you never make plans with me unless, like, say, hey, let's do this, or do you have time to do something on this day? Or, you know, I'll go out to eat and just see her at work where she goes out to eat just to say hi and see how she's doing and sit at her table. But I started thinking like that's not fair to me. So I was like, well, I just texted her, I don't really want to be your friend anymore. And I gave her those examples that I just said, and I haven't heard from her. So I was like, okay, it's all good. Don't even worry about it. We only been best friends since kindergarten, but hey, whatever. She only lives like 7 doors down. I was like, whatever. It is better just to do that way than to keep being upset about it and being disappointed. You know? But
Well, I guess
that's just
you
one.
you know I guess you
That's how
saw
I.
her.
That's how I. I. That's how I handled that. And I don't know what's going on with her because she didn't used to be like that. I'm like, girl, you can't walk 7 doors down and hang out, have a glass of wine like you used to. It ain't that. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the way I dealt with that. Instead of keep being upset that I haven't heard from her, I just sent her that text message, and I was like, okay, that's that.
Clearly, it's
I
Right.
something
could
going on.
wrap that up.
Something going on with the change of behavior in her, and
Mhm.
as long as y'all been friends, and for you to send that message out, and she kind of didn't respond to it, so it's something deeper going on than that. I don't know. She might got a new person, a new romance in her life, or
Oh, she's married.
well, maybe the husband
Ooh.
pushed the influence, like
No, I've
cut it off.
I've known
Mm.
her. We've known each other. I mean, we've known her husband since middle school, high school, whatever. It ain't that. It just I don't know. It's
It has
just
to
like
be
she's
something.
busy. Yeah, I get it.
Let me throw something in here for the discussion, and I want people to listen non-judgmentally. No matter what anyone tells you, there is always, and I'm going to capitalize always verbally, a reason behind a change of behavior, especially women, especially a married woman. Does she have children?
Does she have children?
Yes. Does this friend of yours have children? Her and her husband.
Yeah, she's got grown children,
Okay. Okay.
adult children.
Okay. Hold on. So there's always a reason or motivation behind a change of behavior for women with children, because we know whether the children are adults, they're not living at home, they're outside. Children always come home to an expectation of their parents to be the same when they left them, regardless of when they left that mother and or father. They know that they can go home because home is stable. I want y'all to pay attention to this, okay? So when one of the parents become unstable, aka they change, there is a reason behind the change. Now, I'm not here to tell you what that reason is or it could be. When I asked the question at the top of the show, how many people have the ability to wrong us? This is exactly what I was talking about. Here you have a friendship that's been in force for at least a decade plus, and all of a sudden it sours. There's something that hasn't been communicated by one or both parties. I'm not here to point a finger at anyone. I'm simply here to say this is how we manage our mental health. Anita said that she lives 7 doors down. She didn't come down. Well, let me pose this question to you, and I'm not here to say that you're wrong. Did you walk the 7 doors down to her and knock on her door and pull her out and say, "Hey, what's going on?" Don't answer the question. I want you to incriminate yourself. This is how we start to unravel what might be going on, because this person might have a situation that they want to talk to somebody about, but they may not talk to you personally about it because they think you might be judgmental of them in a particular way, good, bad, or indifferent. I know we as men, we have certain things that we'll talk to one man about, but not another, because we don't necessarily want that person's perspective because it might hit us wrong. There is a time and a place and a person for everything that we do. And we go through, like some people will go talk to their pastors or their reverends or their priests, but they won't talk to their mates about it. They might talk to their good friends about it, but they won't talk to somebody else. They may talk to their coworkers about it, but they may not talk to somebody else, because we're looking for a perspective that's going to help us and not necessarily question. And it's not bad. People will do what they can to preserve themselves so they don't have to take the weight of an unpopular opinion all at one time, because for some people they can't handle it. This is why I'm always leery if somebody says, "Tell me the truth, I can handle it." Bullshit. No, you can't. Because an individual that can handle the truth won't need to preface that. They'll say, "Hey, look, give me your opinion on this." And the person's going to give you their opinion, and that's going to be, you're going to take the opinion, work with it, or you're not. You're going to say, "Well, that's not true." Well, damn, why you ask me my opinion then? From the perspective that I'm sitting at, this is what I see. And people become defensive and pensive. And this is why a lot of people struggle with trying to get things correct, because they won't take things at face value. They won't take things as people present them. And not everybody that presents an unfavorable view of you is trying to hurt you. They're trying to get you to see things from a perspective you may not have considered. This is why when people get together, when families get together for holidays, they say, "I can only take so much of them. I can't be around them for long."
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this at the top of the show. Look, Everybody doesn't want to be around everybody. Say, oh, here comes such and such. You know, they always enjoy things, or they always bragging, or they're always this, because it negatively impacts their mental health. So when you are around people like that, you can only take so much of it because it drains that battery. You say, look, I got to go recharge. You know what? I need a drink to be around him. I need a drink to be around her because all they doing is talking about this and all they doing is talking about that, and I can't take it. Well, damn. I don't recall being around anybody that talks about how successful they are as a bad thing. Hey, what are you doing to get that kind of success? I might want to try that. I see somebody that's posting on Facebook that they, matter of fact, I'm gonna mention their name. Oh geez. Oh, the singer, what's her name? She was very heavy. Black female R&B singer.
I know you talking about, what's her name? Liza, something.
Lizzo.
Something.
Apparently, Lizzo has dropped a boatload of weight. Congratulations to her. Now, if she comes around talking about that, some people are going to get pissed. Why? Because they can't do it. They don't want to hear about it. Why don't you want to hear about somebody's success? That's something I never really quite understood. Even to the point that they're being boastful. Okay. A lot of people out here are boastful. That's just me. Well, I've never been one to just say, okay, can you stop talking about being great? Can you stop talking about being successful? It hurts me. I can't do it, so I don't want you to. That's crazy.
Well,
that is
for some people, it makes them feel less than or inferior.
That's your own internal issues.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with.
Yep.
That's your own internal issues and fix it. But we live in a culture that, and we always talked about this here. Shit, I could post that I got 6 months to live. I'll be glorified. I would be glorified. My likes and all that shit would blow up, and people commenting, "Oh man, we wish you well," whatever. But if I post and say, "Man, in 6 months, man, I'm gonna be on top of the world," nothing. Crickets.
Mm-hmm.
And people who like, damn, he gonna be on top of the world. Shit, I want to know how he gonna be on top of the world. I'm about to like it. I'm about to like it. I'm about to message him or whatever the case. I don't know how it got that way, that we gravitate to the lowest outcomes in life, whether somebody gravely ill, people just got out of jail, they glorified. I'm having a party. I'm having a party and everybody loving it and all that. But somebody could say, man, I just got a big promotion on my job. Yeah, I hate, mad, sick inside. Where did this come from? Why? I'm sure it's research. People can probably speak to it and talk about it. But this is the culture that we live in. And it just ain't black culture. I think it's all over, that we like shit at the lowest level and we glorify it instead of praising people that's trying to rise. I don't know.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
and I
want to go ahead, Anita.
At my funeral, there are some people that I do not want there. Nope, just no.
I understand.
You know, you did me real dirty. Don't care. You didn't care about me then. You didn't care when you was doing me dirty. You didn't care that you hurt me. Well, fuck off now that I'm dead. Don't even.
I'm mad at you. I'm walking lockstep with you.
And I'm usually not that type of person. I'm usually like happy go lucky and but not no more. Not why? Not no more. Not anymore. I mean, I had to. I'm learning still to adjust to people in the civilian world,
Well,
which
this is
might sound funny, but
it's something that celebrities come to understand is that you have to limit people's access to you. And a lot of people think that's selfish.
yep,
And I
nope.
will tell you that if you think an individual protecting their mental health is selfish, then I don't know what to say to you. Because there are absolutely people that will never have access to me. And these are some people that I've helped run organizations with. They can't say hi to me. They can't say bye to me. They can't ask how I'm doing. Don't give a damn. You go. What does David say? What does David say? His mother go say? You go one way, and I'll go the other. That's how close our paths are going to get. So people, if like David said at the top of the show, carry a scalpel, and if that means you got to cut somebody off at the arm, cut them off at the arm, and if that means that enhances your mental well-being, then enhance your mental well-being. People seem to not fully grasp that nobody other than the person that pays you is entitled to your time. I tell people all the time, look, I'm selectively social because I've been called antisocial a lot. No, I'm selectively social. There are people who absolutely I don't want around me. So you know what I do? I don't speak to them. That's rude. No, that's called self-preservation. I don't want to be around the person that's an abuser. I don't want to be around a person that's always consuming alcohol. I for as for as much as I like wine, there's sometimes that I just don't want to be around the smell of alcohol, which is one of the reasons why I don't go to bars. Which is one of the reasons why I tend not to hang out a whole lot around people who do drink, my family excluded. But that's who I am. That's what I don't do. And a lot of people are willing to compromise what they do for the sake of pleasing someone else. And I will tell you, when you do that and you do it consistently, like Anita was just talking about, you start to compromise on your well being. Why would you want to do that if it's not being done for you? In other words, I'm going to use a very, very odd example. Marijuana is legal in a lot of states. So let's say your friend invites you to a party and your friend knows that you are adverse to those type of environments and they don't tell you. So when you walk in there, you're inundated with the smell of
Ooh,
marijuana. You're not going to be too happy with your friend.
I would be pissed if it was a fish
Yes,
fry and a
yes.
marijuana party.
So you're going to get outside or when you leave the event, and the first thing you'll do is probably want to curse your friend out. And I understand. What I would suggest is this: wait a day. And I got this from somebody else, and it was a beautiful example. And I'll tell you what he said in a moment. And then afterwards, come back and discuss that when you're not as emotional, male or female. And this is how I came to that conclusion. A gentleman was invited to a play. Now he said he does not like plays, absolutely hates them. But he went to it for his friend. He said the play was absolutely horrible, just atrocious. There was nothing about the play he liked, regardless if he likes plays or not. So when his friend came off the stage in full costume, the friend asked him, "How was the show?" And he responded, he said, "You were brilliant. You were magnificent." Never spoke about the play. He only spoke about the person's role in the play. And then the next day, he asked his friend, he said, "Do you really want to know what I thought about the play?" And he told the truth. So sometimes timing is everything when you want to disclose something that somebody might receive and they may not be fond of it. It might hit them in a bad way. But this is always provides clarity and allows a person to better able to ingest some news that may be off-putting to them. So it's the proverb, the straw that broke the camel's back. You don't necessarily want to be that straw, but if you have to be that straw, then do with the understanding that you weren't trying to be malicious. You're just trying to be honest because there's a price to pay with honesty. And some people don't want to pay that price. They really don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to be by themselves. They don't want to be deemed as a malcontent. So they walk around, they carry this burden of always holding the line, towing the line, and nobody ever listens to them when they say something. Well, the question becomes, when do you say something that's worth anybody listening to? And they will say, well, I don't want to rock the boat. Well, damn, if you don't want to rock the boat, then you can't complain about nobody listening to you. Because somebody's always going to rock the boat. And rocking the boat's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes in order to get change, you got to rock the boat. And when the boats rock, somebody might fall into the water. It happens. Now, just because a person falls into the water doesn't mean they're going to drown. But that might be the wake-up call that person needs to say, hey, look, you need to change what you're doing. Because you, pardon me, you said this term, but you fucking up our vibe. We don't want you around here if you're going to continue to do this. Either you fall in or you get lost. Now, that's not to say that the individual has to change. That individual's got to find out if the change that that individual is being asked to take is worth being with that group. Now, you might have a group of people who are doing things. And every time you come around with your hand out. You come around with a sob story. Why you can't do this, why you can't do that. They say, hey, look, man, you got to get with the program, but you got to get gone. We're tired of helping you. And what we do, you don't improve. You stay the same. Well, you get worse. You're killing us, man. We're part of the squad here. And every time we go to pick you up, it's some old tired excuse about you can't do this or you got that. And nobody wants to hear that. That's a drain, man. Every time we fill the glass up, you knock it over. You don't want that. Stop knocking our glasses over, man. Go join somebody else who ain't doing things well, who don't care. But I mean, that's how we get to where we are, where people talk about, I'm tired of being around people that don't care. You know, they don't put the effort in I do. And we see this a lot at work. Number one place where you see people talk about this person don't do this person don't do that. I got to do this. Well, have you said anything to anyone? Have you spoken to management about it? Have you pulled this coworker about aside and say, hey, look, Fas, I wish you would do this. Because when you do this, it helps everybody out. It makes the job easier for everybody else. Just imagine this. Let's say you work in a place. And every time there's a few things of coffee left, you go and buy some. Person comes in, oh, coffee here. And then the next time that person sees that there's coffee, they just say, hey, you know what? Let me go and buy some. And everybody's doing the same thing. That place, I guarantee you, if everything else is in order, people will love to work at it. You know why? Because everybody's pitching in to make sure that everybody else there is happy, taken care of, and their well-being is number one.
Team cohesion.
That's what they call it in the military?
We call it, yeah, kind of like that.
Yes. So I'm not here to label what it is. I'm just simply saying I've seen it. And I see it now. You know, people will come into a shift saying, this isn't done, and it robs I was going to say robs the unit of its morale. See how you got me? It robs
It does,
the
though.
coworkers. Yeah, I know. I don't want to get into the military talk, but it does. It's like taking a piece of tape that you picked up at least 6 or 7 times. It doesn't start to stick anymore. It loses its adhesiveness. These are the type of things that people go through, and they start to wonder why they resent working at certain place. Well, I want to get out here because the work environment's become toxic. Toxic? You mean you walk in and you start to choke? No, that's not what I mean. Well, then what do you mean? Nobody's helping out anymore. Before everybody used to help out. Well, have you mentioned this to management? Have you mentioned this to a supervisor? Have you pulled people together on your shift and say, hey, look, this used to be the best shift here. I want to make this the best shift here again. This is what I would like us to do. I think if we do this, that's leadership. And sometimes people don't understand what leadership is or where leadership comes from. You don't have to be in a position of manager to lead. That's why I like my shift where I work at, because you know what? Me and my coworker, we are the Wonder Twins. We work together. Whatever needs to be done to get the job done, we do it. There's no arguing, there's no bickering, there's no fuss. We're on the same page. Either I'm turning the page he's reading, or he's turning the page and I'm reading. There is no ego among us. But it's hard to get that with people who don't understand what their role is. And everybody has a role. So the question becomes, are you willing to play that role so everybody gets along? Or do you want to be a disruptor? Some people want to be disruptors. They don't give a damn about what else is going on. Their whole thing is, if I ain't happy, no one else in here is going to be happy. And those are the type of people you want to avoid, because those are the type of people that even when you forgive them, they're still going to do what they want because they don't care. And those are the people you want to avoid. So you have to get to a point where you understand what your goals are and what somebody else's goals are. And if their goals don't align with yours, then you have to say, you know what? This ain't working out. Whether it's friendships, relationships, family, you just got to say, you know what? I can't be a party to this anymore. I got to go. And the first person that, anyone, they need to forgive for making decisions is themselves. Because, I know if you're like me, I'm usually the first person I look at when something goes wrong. Could I have done anything different? And if I could have done it different, then why didn't I do it different? And an individual might have a valid reason for not doing something different to get a different outcome because they've always done it. They say, you know what? I'm tired of being a good guy. I forgave them once when they did it, but I can't do it again. Now I got to cut them off.
And I think a lot of it depends on you, how long you let stuff you go. But when we ask the question, why is forgiveness important? You have to look at certain things, such as releasing negative emotions. Sometimes you just have to let go. You have to, you don't forget, but you may forgive that certain act or discretion or whatever the case is to move forward. And it helps you release that. Some of you may never get caught up in any of this and say, and you may be stuck in the same situation like damn, every situation is the same, but it's not. Sometimes you just gotta you know take one, but it's still in your mind. I'm watching you. I haven't forgotten. I forgive this situation, but I'm watching you. And you move forward. Also, heals emotional wounds.
Mhm.
No, not necessarily.
Well, ain't nothing absolute. So,
No, I'm not talking
certain
about it.
people, for certain
I'm not talking
people,
about.
for certain people, it may help them to forgive certain situations so they can move forward. Wounds can always be opened back up.
Right.
Band-aids and all this stuff never work. If you put a band-aid and you take it healed, then you do nothing but keep scratching at it. Sooner or later it's gonna start bleeding again, and now you got the same issue. But for certain people, it helps them move forward. I forgive you. I'm letting it go, and I'm moving forward. And that's just that. If you still stay complacent or stuck on something that happened uh years ago, or what a parent did, sibling or relationship, then that's you that's
Yeah.
not developing and growing. Because I'm pretty sure the person who violated you or did this or that, they moved on and probably violated three or four more people during that time. You're only dealing with your life.
Yeah.
And that's the understanding that people need to get, because everybody wants to make sure everybody else is safe, secure, mental health is right, but they don't think about themselves. And shortly after taking care of everybody else, their their asses is in the coffin
Yeah.
somewhere, because they was too busy worried about all these different things. I can tell you, I ain't cut like that. It's only me. And my cutoff game is strong. And my level of keeping myself occupied is strong. I, I entertain a lot of things, but when I want, and I always say, one of the biggest things is it's about being occupied. You can't be a depressed person with nothing to do. You can't be an angry person with nothing to do. Because sooner or later, you're just going to get angry. You're just going to keep thinking about the same shit. And it's just going to make you get upset. And then you're still dealing with the same people that kind of provoke you. You got to stay occupied. You got to stay occupied as much as possible. And when you do that, then you're like, you know what? My day flew by. I didn't even think about that. I'm always moving. So to everybody, you always got to keep moving, because there's certain things. And before I even forget, when I think about forgiveness, I think about me and my father, where he was, you know, he gave me a lot of my characteristics probably came from him. The determination to feel like I'm always going to be the best. And he probably could have been, but he let drugs dictate that, cut that off, and he lost that ability. And he lost the opportunity when he had three sons. Then he had another one that he had the opportunity to school them to be the best that they can be. But he let other things dictate that. I was the oldest, so I caught the brunt of all this stuff. So I was mad for years, and I kept it to myself. And as years went, then there was one point I had told him. I remember him stopping by the house. I said, "Shit," I told him, "I owe you an ass whooping." And he like, "Oh yeah, you want to jump on me?" And my mother was this. She was kind of just. She couldn't do nothing but snicker. "Oh, you gonna let him do that?" She like, he grown. What can I do?
Yeah.
What can I do to stop him? I said, I can take you out in this backyard and all the mental stuff I went through with you, smack the hell out you. And that's all I was gonna do. I wasn't gonna beat him up, kill him, whatever. Probably smacked the hell out of him and got up and said, I might have kicked his ass as I walked away, but didn't do it. But he was he wanted to put the emphasis back on my mother. No, it was you, dude, who came at me. But then as time went on, I kept moving forward. I never let that dictate me. And a lot of times people let shit like that dictate them. Oh man, my daddy didn't do this. My mother ain't do that.
Yeah.
Man, you got excuse my language, you got one fucking life to live. And if you're gonna sit up there and wallow around in that, then that's on you. Cause time keep ticking. And I decided to say, I'm a competitor. So I gotta keep moving forward. Did I remember one day things slowed down and I said, man, I had found out he had prostate cancer. And I said, damn, that's deep. I said, I want to make amends with him. Or not make amends, but like, I want to talk. And I tried to reach out to my mother at the time. I think she was occupied with my niece and nephew, sports activities, and no one responded. I think I text my niece, whatever, because I figured she was with my mother, and I didn't, never got a response. So during that time, that moment, I wanted to talk to him and say, hey, listen, I know what you're going through. I'm giving you grace and forgiveness, and I want to kind of forgive it. But also, you know me, that was part of him. Once I didn't get a hold of anybody, I let it go. Couple months later, he ended up dying. So I never got that opportunity to share. Uh,
And how'd that
so
make you feel?
mm, incomplete.
Did you cry?
Yeah, actually, I did cry at his funeral.
Hmm.
Right
I'm gonna
now,
jump in here for a hot second just to follow. Oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
right now I'm emotional, but it's real.
Hmm.
There
Yeah.
is a black man, Larry Elder, and some people may not like him for his political views. And I'm gonna follow what David would say because I don't have a story like that. He wrote a book called Dear Father, Dear Son, and I can't remember. Ah, darn it. Um, give me one moment. Yeah, Dear Father, Dear Son. 8 hours, 2 lives, 8 hours. It really almost mirrors what David is talking about. Now, Larry Elder didn't know his father growing up. His mother moved around, had married a couple of different men. So when Larry finally got back with his father, they had a huge blowout. Larry ended up, I think, either leaving home and getting kicked out, something to that extent. Don't quote me on this directly.
I'm
So,
quoting you.
so he left, went to school, came back home, running a restaurant. He was being paid, and they got into an argument. He came back there, and Larry threw his apron at the father. The father gave him the money, and they, got into it. He went his own way. And when he came back from college, they sat down and said, "Why have you always been cantankerous? You've always treated me like this, this, and this." And his father sat down and asked him, "What do you know about me?" And he told him all the bad things. And it turns out that his father was illiterate, had got put out the house at a young age by his mother or something to that extent. But the story goes that they sat for 8 hours and had a discussion between the two of them as men now. And Larry said that changed his life. He didn't look at his father the same way because he didn't understand the struggles that his father had to endure to get to where he was. So, just like I was saying earlier, Anita, that when I asked if you walked down the 7 doors and knocked on your friend's door and asked what was going on, at that particular point, it's up to your friend to open up. This is why I always tell people, if I have a problem with an individual, believe me, I'm going to give an individual the opportunity to explain themselves, the situation, the circumstances. I'm not going to cast an individual outright because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what their frame of mind was. I don't know what the rationale for doing whatever it was they did. They did. But I have to, and I always say, I have to, if I want grace from an individual, I need to give it. See, we have too many people walking around this world. They want to be accepted, but they're unwilling to accept anyone. That's a one-way street. And that's not beneficial to the other party that you're in a relationship with. Every relationship is a bridge. So that bridge is always in need of maintenance. The maintenance may not be required as much for some bridges as it is for others, but it's going to be required. Guys, we're different. I may talk to my homeboy once or twice every year. Yo, what's going on? Yada, yada, yada. I'm coming through, yada, yada. We good. Women, you're different. Your bridges need a little bit more maintenance. So your communication has to be more. This is why when fellas get together, it's around sporting events. Because hey, look, how's your kids doing, man? Mom, my kids are good. Wife good? Yeah. All right, that's it. We done. We here to watch the boxing matches as Dave like to do, or we here to take in the Super Bowl, as I like to do. We know because we've spent years cultivating this foundation based upon our likes. And if a new guy comes into the fold, yo, guess what? He one of us. He doesn't have to do anything spectacular. He's already gotten pre-approved because he's hanging out with one of the crew. So he's become accepted into one of the crew. Now, and I think you had a story about today where you went over one of your female friends' house, and it was you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you gotta tell me that. I laugh. You gotta go further so I can know. You said I went over where?
The female had invited you over, and it was another group of guys. It was a boxing match.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, I got you. So you listen to what I say.
But this is the thing, though. We have to get to a point, especially as adults our age, and when I say our age, I'm talking mid-40s and older, that we don't need to hold on to the past, especially if it's anguish and pain. That's like holding on to a hot coal coming off a barbecue grill. You're not gonna do that. That shit hurts. It's gonna cause pain. It's gonna leave a mark. We're gonna drop it as soon as we touch it. And that's a good thing because we're saying to ourselves, we don't want to be reminded of that pain. Like David said, wounds can always be opened up. But the difference between opening up an old wound that has healed as opposed to picking at a wound that has never healed is a world of difference. Just like the Larry Elder situation I gave. You can sit down and you can discuss that. And going forward, you can live with that. And it doesn't negatively affect your mental health. Because some people will say, man, I remember when I mentioned that to you, man, you would blow up. And now you just like, okay, you know what? It happened. I dealt with it and I'm moving on. That's the difference. You're no longer beholden to the pain that situation caused you. You can sit down, you can discuss it, you can say, hey, man, that was then, this is now. I've quote unquote healed. I moved on. Now, if that individual is stuck there, that's on that individual. I can't do anything about the way that individual feels. I've healed. I moved on. I've done the quote unquote internal work necessary to be able to speak about that, and I can use that example and teach other people. There's a movie. I know how y'all don't like my movie analogies.
Titanic.
No, this is called the best years of our lives. Is the black and white movie, and I mentioned it before. And the daughter, it's I think it's a really, really excellent movie because
It's the one you got for $1 at Walmart.
No, this is on YouTube. YouTube free of charge, like I said, black and white movie.
Free, even better.
Yeah, black, and I would encourage people to watch it. It has actors and actresses that I've never seen.
Hold up, Herb, before you go there. When do you watch this shit? When do you watch it?
Well, it's football season now, so he ain't got to.
No, believe it or not, I will watch these movies during the middle of the day.
Okay.
Sometimes after the podcast, I'll order food, and I'll pop in the movie, or guilty.
Yeah.
I'll pop in, and just sometimes, like, I'll fall asleep because I always have YouTube on. I'll fall asleep, and I'll get up, and I'm catching something. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I'll sit down and I'll watch the rest of it, but then I'll go back and then watch it from the beginning. So I just happened to catch this from the beginning, and I don't know what I was watching beforehand. Don't ask me; I couldn't tell you. And there's what I find different from movies now, and this is going forward actually, from movies that were written years ago, decades ago, generations ago, is that these movies always focused on telling a story, and a real authentic story that is relatable to the everyday person. And they were coming out of a war, and the guy was struggling with adapting. And Anita, you can relate to this. Adapting to civilian life. He could find work. His marriage to an extremely, in my opinion, an extremely beautiful woman was falling apart right before his eyes. She was mad that he couldn't afford the lifestyle that she had during the war. And they got to the point where they were headed for divorce. There was another older gentleman who had also gotten out of the military, but his marriage was solid. They had kids. The kids had grown up. They were going to college. And his daughter had taken a liking to this man. Now, the father and this dude met. They were in a bar, and they sat down, and they had a tie-to-tie. He said, look, about my daughter, I don't like what you're doing to her. I don't like that you're sneaking around back corners, meeting her behind your wife's back. So I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to run interference every way I possibly can, up to and including having to dust you off. And the guy who was in the Air Force was saying, "Nah, I don't think you want to do it." He said, "Trust me, I spent the last 4 years fighting hand-to-hand combat. You don't want no parts of this." So it got to the point where they had an understanding. He said, "All right, fine. If that's the way you feel, I will call your daughter and break off this relationship." Now, the end of the movie, they end up getting together. But the thing about it is this. In order for that man to be able to say, look, to the woman, he had to accept where he was in his life. He had to forgive himself for struggling to adapt to civilian life. And he had to find somebody else who was willing to accept him there and work with him with what he had to get to a point of where he was okay. This is why I say the first person in any situation that you need to forgive is yourself. Because it doesn't make any difference if you forgive all the people around you, all the people you come in contact with. If you are going to still make yourself feel guilty for making a decision, then you're never going to start the process to heal. And I've told you a story before about when I got drunk and almost took advantage of the female. I held myself, and I still do, but in a different manner now. I held myself accountable to the point that I didn't like who I was. Now, mind you, who I was hadn't changed. I was still the same person, law-abiding. It was just the fact that I committed such an egregious error that I'd never done anything like that before, that I didn't know how to handle it. So when I spoke to my brother, who at the time was incarcerated, he said, look, he said, I understand how you feel. He said, but you have never, ever done anything like that in your life to anybody. He said, you got to let that shit go. He said, you can't continue to beat yourself up over it. And it was at that particular point, because I didn't talk to anybody else about this, nobody else about this. He was the only one that I talked to. He said, you got to let that shit go. He said, because you can't do anything about it now. And I know if you had the chance to do it over, you would do things differently. So it was that conversation at that particular moment that I needed to hear that allowed me to get back to the point where I'm very comfortable with talking about it now. But if this happened when I was 31, but if I'd had to talk about that 4 or 5 years afterwards, I'd have never opened my mouth. Not because I was afraid of other people's opinions and judgments. It's because I was still judging myself. I was judging myself, saying, you were wrong. How the hell could you put yourself in such a situation? You dumb, you an idiot, etc. I was beating myself up to the point where I felt like Trevor Burbick after Mike Tyson beat him. Fuck am I at? So this is why it becomes important, that the first person in the situation that we forgive is the self. Once you do that, you can start reaching out to everybody else. You can start making amends, rebuilding bridges, and everything. Because I think that's one of the steps in either AA or NA or one of those recovery programs is that you make amends for the wrongs that you've done. But you got to start with self. It is important to start with self.
So,
Go ahead.
hold on. So, couple days ago, it was probably like last week, I posted something on the Counselor's Corner about forgiveness. It was like a little podcast from Lewis Howes, and I really agreed with what that doctor said. It was a female doctor. She looked like maybe from India or somewhere over there. But she said, people say forgive and forget, or forgive but don't forget the lesson. But that's not necessarily, I don't know, she said it a lot more eloquently. She basically said that you don't have to forgive anybody. Some people, that's the way they rather deal with it, is not forgive. It's premature act of forgiveness. And for me, there's a couple people I don't forgive them. And it's not making me mad. It's just I don't have it in my heart to forgive them for things they did. It's not going to make me feel any better if I say I forgive them. No, because I know in my heart that's false. I don't forgive them and I won't forgive them. And It's not taking up no kind of space. That's just how I feel about it. If I say I forgive them, it's just gonna be me fooling myself and others saying I forgive, because I don't. Deep in my heart, I know I don't, and I won't, and I never will. I mean, certain things, like minor things, relationships, friendships, family. We all get mad at each other every now and then for something minor. Okay. But yeah, that stuff like that, like if you want to say I forgive you for being late or whatever, that's like minor to me. But something that really, really, like killed my heart, nah, I'm not gonna forgive you. I'm not gonna forget. I'm not gonna forgive you. I'm not gonna dwell on it. I'm just ain't got nothing for you, because I think I feel like if I forgive somebody, I'm such a loving, caring, outgoing person that, and I'm generally a happy-go-lucky person. I'm like, okay, I forgive you. Everything's all good. And how do I put this? Won't reflect on the lesson of how bad they cut me, I'll say. And some people, I like I said, I ain't got nothing for them. I don't have not a nano nanoparticle of forgiveness, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with me saying
You're
that.
muted, Dave.
So
There
I'll
you go.
find that
I think
podcast, and
Lewis Howes.
I was muted.
I think you might be referencing Sadia Khan. She's she is Saudi Arabian by ethnicity. She's,
Wait, what's her name?
Sadia, Sadia Khan, Sadia Khan, and she's
No,
renowned.
I don't think I don't think that's her. She's a doctor. Okay. She's like older.
Oh no, this is Sadia then. Okay, that's why I said it might be.
No, it's not.
Okay. But Lewis Howes is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I posted it, I think, like a week ago when she was talking about it. I'll have to find it again. She put it a certain way where I could relate to it and understand.
Well, I think the larger point that you're getting to, and it's not wrong, forgiveness is up to the individual. The only reason I would recommend it is, like I said earlier, if an individual is looking to heal, then it behooves them not to hold on to whatever it is, that potentially is causing them pain. Now, with that said, if a situation isn't causing an individual pain, well, damn, there's no reason to forgive an individual. Forgiveness is not for the person that wronged you. It's for the individual that received the wrong, so they can move on. That's all valid. Go ahead.
Yeah, but some people don't. A lot of people, they think just because everybody, that's the cliche thing to say is forgive and move on, or forgive but don't forget.
Yeah.
That's a cliche thing. People think they're supposed to. I mean, you don't. There's nothing says you're supposed to. I'm not forgiving certain people for things because I'm not healed from it, because I don't have nothing left for that situation, and it's false of me to say I can forgive. I cannot forgive certain people for certain things. And I'm good with that.
The one thing I kept hearing you say is little things. If little things keep happening, and I always speak on this, little things lead to big things. So if you keep annoying little things, uh, eventually it's going to multiply and it's going to lead to big things. So sometimes if you don't address the little things, because some people will say, "Oh, it was just this minor," because you said that this was your language. It was just minor. It was just small, and some people just try to they'll do things whatever and see what they could get away with, and if you keep on saying it's small or minor, it's going to lead to big things. So
Yeah.
sooner or later you gotta that little irritant mosquito or bug whatever, sooner or later you're gonna have to squash it to say this shit ain't gonna go no further. Okay, I let these little things go for so long, now I'm speaking on it, and if they don't correct it, then you know that they don't care.
Right.
They're going to keep pushing. So don't ignore the little things. Little things lead to big things. It could be some minor. First time you may say, okay. But then if you say, like, damn, they keep doing these little things that keep annoying me, keep aggravating me, or whatever the case is, it needs to be addressed. And
Yeah.
once you address it, and if you continue to allow them to do that, then that's on you because people will, I'm sorry you to death over little
Right.
things until you call their asses out. And then at that point, either they could get correct or you figure, listen, we're done.
Mhm.
I'm not going to allow this to happen anymore. So that's what we have to be mindful of because
Yeah.
people are like, oh, that's petty or whatever. And I realize being petty ain't that bad. I'm petty. I can be petty as fuck. I don't care about that, whatever. Uh, you're not just gonna keep doing whatever you want to me, and it could be something small or minor. And if I addressed it before and you still doing it, then call me petty. Call me
Yeah.
King Petty, because you're gonna get whatever I dish out after that. So that's on you.
So what's petty? What's petty to you, David?
What's petty to me?
Hmm.
I can't
Give
right
us
now.
some examples.
No, I can't even come like to think about it. Um, I have to think about have to really think about it. But I know people like, oh, that's petty. I'm trying to think of a certain situation. I don't know because I always say I'm a counterpuncher, so things happen right then and there, so I don't let it fester at me to even know, like, oh, this been going on so long. But certain things may be petty to certain people, but may not be to others. But I can give you a petty reaction.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll give you an example. I know you asked David. Somebody comes over to your house. You have a sign posted on the door. Please remove your shoes. Person may not see the sign, so they come in and say, "Hey, can you take your shoes off for me?" They begrudgingly do it. Next time they come over, you got to ask them again. Hey, can you take your shoes off? They begrudgingly do it. Third time, you're like, damn, do I have to consistently remind you to take off your shoes? There's a sign posted on the door. The last two times you came over, I've asked you to take off your shoes and you won't do it. Why is it so difficult? Some people say, oh, you're being petty. No, it's a rule that I have that I want people to follow. If it's my home, I just want the respect of the home to be followed. Case in point, somebody may not smoke. You got an individual waiting for a ride. They sitting outside your car. Guess what they're doing? They smoking. They get in the car. Guess what they smell like? Cigarettes. You can't stand cigarette smoke. So you overlook it the one time. You say, hey, look, I know you don't know I don't smoke, yada, yada, yada. Now, this person needs a ride home from work. Guess what they're sitting outside your car doing? Smoking. They say, yo, can you give me a ride home? You say no. They say, why? Because you smell like cigarettes. Come on, you being petty. Am I?
Oh, so now that Herb gave me that example, a clear situation came to my mind. I ain't gonna call out no names. So sometimes you commute with people to work, and you drive. You got to go to work anyways.
Yeah.
And certain people feel like, "Well, I'll catch a ride," but they never offer gas money. They never want to do anything, but because they know you got to go to work, and they say, "Well, shit, they got to go there anyway." So I'm just gonna jump a ride. So then, certain times that they have a vehicle, and you get to work, and you're like, "Yo, how you get to work?" But when you pull up, you see that their vehicle or their spouses or girlfriend vehicle is out there, and you say to yourself, "Wait a minute, like, damn, I'm not qualified for you to say I'm driving today. Let me come get you. That you don't have to ride." So you say, "Okay, I got you,"
Mm-hmm.
and you start responding different because you think about the last time, and that might have been on a Friday. So on Monday, they back at it trying to get a ride with you. So all of a sudden they show up at your spot and you don't answer the door. But your car's still out there and they know you got to go to work, and you don't answer the door. So that's the petty I'm on. I ain't answering the fucking door. You sit there all day long, and then we get to work, but like, "Oh man, I came by." You answer the door. "Oh, I was in the shower," or whatever the case is. So you make that person get on the metro or whatever the case is, because you say, "Damn, I drive you 4 or 5 days out of the week. You get the car, and you never think like, man, maybe David just want to chill on the passenger side to go to work." So that's when I'm petty. It's all about a counter move. I keep saying I'm a counter puncher. My pettiness is countering things that you did, and I'm gonna try to really stick you after the fact. Now, okay, you doing this? Well, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna make your ass late as hell for work, because now you knocking on my door, knocking on my door, trying to get a ride. Now you gotta catch the bus, because I ain't answering the door. I'm petty. That's what I mean. And sometimes you gotta be petty.
Did you ever ask them like, "Hey, can you give me some money for gas since I'm always driving both of us"?
Some of that stuff is just a given. It's
To
just a
some
given.
people,
No, it's just a
some people don't even think about it.
no.
Etiquette.
Yeah. Sometimes you just know people's upbringing, and you know what they
Mm.
stand for, and you say they should know better. They
Yeah.
should know better. So you don't have to say, "Hey, you got any money toward the gas?" Sometimes you just ride it out, let it build up. You let it build up, and the little small things, let it
Mhm.
build up, and then eventually you get tired of it, and then that's when you make a move. Sort of like relationships. Sometimes you let stuff build up, and then you say, "Hey, now I'm about to counter that." And if they don't have no follow up to my counter, then that's how sometimes shit ends. Forgiveness.
Yeah, and like I said, the person that needs to be forgiven first is the self, especially like David mentioned in relationships. And I'm a firm proponent in addressing something early. I'm not gonna let it ride. The first time you do something that I don't like, and you may not view it as wrong, I'm gonna say, "Hey, look, no bueno. You can't do that. Not around me, because I don't like it." Now, an individual has two options. They can say, "Fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want to." At which point, the ball now becomes in my court. Do I want to continue to deal with it, condone it, or do I want to say, "Okay, you got to go"? And like David said, I got a scalpel, and it's already been employed on this platform. I don't play with the bullshit. You know, if you want to tell me to kick rocks, I'm gonna find the biggest rock and I'm gonna kick it. I might do myself some damage, but I'm gonna kick that rock. And whatever happens, happens. A lot of people are beholden to what others think about them. And I think that's something that people use to their advantage. And when I say people use to their advantage, they'll say, you know what? You can do what you want to this individual as long as you have this individual under your thumb, meaning that you know that they're going to acquiesce to whatever it is because they don't want to be alone or they like you that much, then you can do what you want to with them. And we see this happen in relationships all the time. This is why a lot of people will call people abusive. Well, they're not abusive. You're just a damn fool for allowing yourself to be mistreated. Now, if that means somebody's abusive, then okay, by your definition of abusive, they're abusive. But who's really abusing who? Is that person abusing you, or are you abusing yourself? And when I say abuse yourself, I mean that you continue to put yourself in a situation to where you can be exploited. Because I'll take David's example. If I keep coming over and getting a ride to work, and I offer the gas money, and the individual doesn't say anything, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna keep coming over and get a ride to work, and I ain't gonna be paying no gas money. That's what abusive people do. And people with boundaries, they'll say, "Oh, no, wait a minute. What the hell do I look like? A personal Uber Lyft driver, and I'm not getting anything? No offers for no rides when you do have a vehicle, no monetary compensation for the gas, even though I'm going the same way. Something that lets me know that, hey, look, I'm glad you hooking me up, man. Can I do something for you? You know, we go out to drink. I may not have a car, so you always scooping me up. I say, you look, first round is on me. I got you for the night. What you drinking? That type of stuff. But you got people that willing to play the game, and they will play the game for as long as you allow them to play the game. So at that particular point, you can't say they're abusive. You can say they don't care. You can say they're taking advantage, and all of those things would be correct. Which is why that people need to start saying, "Hey, look, I forgive you, for you being this way, but I'm not going to allow you to do it to me. You can go do it to someone else, but I'm not that individual." And that's why I always say, you forgive yourself, because you may not have run into a person that behaved like that. So this might be new to you. You might come from an upbringing where everybody behaves the same. Ain't nobody out to take advantage of nobody. So you get into a different setting, where you got users, abusers, pimps, pushers, and they say, "Hey, look, I'm looking to get over on anybody. I'm gonna get over on my mother. She's sitting in a wheelchair. I'm gonna push her ass down the stairs so I get the last thing." And people just say,
Oh my
"Damn,
goodness.
what I'm exaggerating, but but
Some people really do that shit. So
yeah, you got people out there doing that. David said it earlier. They'll take from their own mother. I mean, it's crazy, but there are people out there who will do it. And the first thing they will say is, "Well, you owe me for all the times that I put up with this." Oh, man, that's how. This is why you hear a lot of women say that a lot of men are unhealed, because these women will put themselves in a position to be used. Wait a minute. Let me get this right.
Well,
Hold on, Anita. Let me get this right.
what you getting right?
No, let me get this right. I call you at 2:00 in the morning. You already know why I'm calling.
Why are you calling?
I'm trying to play Twister. Sans closed. We get to playing Twister.
Okay.
We play Twister for a bit, and I'm out. You say that's it. Well, what else were you expecting? You expecting me to come over and cook, clean, and wash the dishes? It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I
Sun up
was
the
expecting
sundown.
you to stay the night and make the bed in the morning.
Sun up the sundown. That ain't what I'm here for. I'm out. And this man continues to do that. And the woman just said, "Is that all you see me?" Well, damn. You said you don't want a relationship, or at least that kind of relationship. So now what? The woman has to forgive herself for allowing her to be put in that position. Once she does, and she sees herself in a different light, she's got a couple options. Do she want to continue to deal with that man in that way, or do she want to cut off everything with him? And that's the position a lot of people find themselves in. I just use women, but men the same way. Do you say this female put you in the friend zone? Okay, so you know you're in the friend zone. You ain't got no shot at the goods, but you still forking out money for this chick. She need a ride somewhere. Where you going, Miss Daisy? Well, the first thing you got to do is forgive yourself for being a sucker.
And I'm gonna give y'all a reminder. You know my thing. I don't do the friend zone shit. So once you feel like that, we're done. We're done. We have apps, and I'm petty. We absolutely have nothing to talk about further. What can we talk about? I got demoted. What the fuck I'm supposed to be tee-heeing with you about, and I got a demotion. Don't do it. Not with me. There's a lot of other suckers out there that take that. Not me. Words from the counselor. I'm done.
So you
not David Lorenzo.
Yeah, David Lorenzo. You got it.
And you got guys that are upset about that. And it's like, well, dude, damn. She told you weren't gonna see no parts of the underwear. Hey, you weren't gonna even see him in the store. Even if you bought him, you weren't gonna see him.
Master Barber, what's good?
Oh my goodness.
What the deal is, you're still playing a role. And now you upset at her because the role you play, she's taking advantage of. Well, damn, dude.
Anita, what are you doing?
What? I was taking out the garbage.
Oh.
Oh, damn. There's a whole bunch of grass and weeds in my garbage. Damn it.
You just got to mute yourself, or you can mute her, David, until she's done.
I just muted her.
Okay.
You too much.
So it becomes, why are you continually playing that role and putting yourself in that situation when you don't want to be there? Get out. Stop complaining about it. Forgive yourself. Understand what it is that you're doing, and stop it if you want to. But don't complain about what somebody's doing to you. And you're putting yourself in the position. It's like I tell people, "What you want me to bend over, grab my ankle so you can kick me in the ass?" And I'm supposed to say that feel good? Nah, I ain't that. Sorry, I ain't that dude. No. I don't do that. But I mean, I've heard of guys doing that mess. Heard of women doing that mess, and I'm just like, and I just shake my head and I'll just say, well, why are you shaking your head? I'm like, look, clearly you don't like the situation. Now that you've identified you don't like the situation, you got two options. Get out or stay in. But don't keep complaining about it because you already know what it is. You already know that he coming over to dine and dash, or you already know she just using you for whatever it is that she can get, and that's it. Her boyfriend did her dirty. You're shoulder to cry on. Somebody stood her up. You're someone to talk to. She wanted advice on how to deal with a guy. You're the person she's gonna call. If you want something different, you got to do something different. And most people aren't gonna learn until you cut them off. And when you cut them off, that's the forgiveness. We keep telling people this is about your mental health. This isn't about anyone else. It's about your mental health. Make sure you're addressing your mental health first. It's like what they tell you on a plane. the first thing they tell you, if the cabin loses air pressure and the mask fall down, put your mask on first. No, you got too many people running around here with the capes unfurled or the golden lasso. They want to help somebody else. Meanwhile, they suffocating. And then they look at the person like, you didn't help me. Because they were never a helper. They were never a helper. They were a user. What up, Fred? Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. But it's the world we live in, man. That's why it becomes important to forgive the self first.
And it always matters, or how you respond to certain situations, where you have a lot of times where you have men and women, they keep talking about the ex, dogging them out, this and that. This person did this person did that. You already know that if they keep doing that, they have no forgiveness.
Mhm.
So you're just the next person that they're going to identify and compare each situation with. And you could have did something minor, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that ain't me. I'm not that person. So what it says is they really haven't got over that particular situation. So now you may feel like you walking on eggshells because you they haven't gained true forgiveness or understanding over their situation. So you always got to be mindful. Boy, your cutoff game got to be real deep to move forward. Nita, you've been a real distractor tonight, and I don't.
Ah!
Nothing.
You got Jimmy the Cricket playing in the
Crickets and
background.
shit, whatever on the right, for real. So you always got to deal with how you handle situations, how you respond to situations, and that's where sometimes forgiveness could be granted. Oh, she mad. She jumped off. Oh well.
No, that's not why. I know why she did.
I know.
Oh.
I know. I'm just
okay.
saying. She'll have forgiveness anyway. So that's the bottom line. And a lot of times we're dealing with individuals in life, no matter what it is. If you're 50, 60, and you start dating, whatever, it's people who went through something. If somebody seems too clean cut that they didn't went through anything and life is a blast, hey, you probably headed for a storm at the end. Everything might be good at the beginning, but you're probably headed for something major. We all went through stuff. We all had struggles. We all overcame stuff. If it's somebody who say, nah, my life was perfect, my dad and mom put everything in position and we never went through anything, they full of shit. They full of shit. There's no perfect situations in any of this. And we can mask it and cover it up as it is, but it's really not. We all went through struggles. But I always say it's the way you respond to struggles that matter. Do you let it make you? Do you let it break you? Can you have forgiveness? You might. You may for a certain time. Something may come up that trigger it. But how do you respond to those triggers? I always say being occupied, doing your own thing, being comfortable in what you're doing, and keep it moving, you'll be able to escape a lot. And people are like, well, that's not handling. Yeah, it may not be the ultimate solution, but I think it and I don't always think sitting in front of somebody is also might not be the option for everyone. It's what you do. And as Herb mentioned earlier, your mental health. Are you okay with it? Are you bothering anybody after? Are you harming anybody? If you're not affecting anybody and you're carrying on and you're doing what you got to do, keep rolling. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let it control and dictate the rest of your life.
Can you still hear the crickets?
No, we cannot.
No, if I did, I would cut you off. My cut game is strong.
I see. I disconnected my Bluetooth from it.
Okay, and it sound better. So that's where we at. It's 10:55, and you can't say, Anita, you got 300 kids coming because I got about 1,300 now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. I need to be
Oh,
ready.
Robert, I had some Jamaican Me Crazy for you.
Yeah, man, it's so hard to find them, man. I don't know what Seagram's be doing, but man, they need to do better. In the words of Joey Swole, do better, Seagrams.
Well, I know y'all know what's about to go down in September.
Dun, 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 dun.
No football.
Are the Ravens ever going to win a football game?
Oh, Ravens
I'm
already.
sure they'll win
I'm
some
talking
games,
about.
but David
I'm
don't care.
talking about y'all pulling up at T Glove. My sister 50.
Oh yeah.
What date?
Well, Friday is probably people getting in town, chilling at our house, but the 14th, September 14th is in her yard, and then the 15th is at Joe spot.
Because I'll be out of town the 12th through the 14th, because that's when we're going on our fishing trip.
So when is the 14th? Saturday?
The 14th, that'd be the day we get back, I think the Sunday.
Oh, that's Sunday. Well, yeah, that's her dinner party.
Oh no, the 14th is gonna be the Saturday. We are
that's Saturday.
Yeah, the Friday, Saturday. Oh, wait a minute, that's July. September. Yeah, the 14th is gonna be that Saturday. So I'll be out of town the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. I think we get back on the 15th. So yeah, I'll be out of town, unfortunately.
Damn, I might be in Florida at that time.
Okay. Y'all see the viewage.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50's a man. It's 50's a marker, man. It's a milestone. It is. Speaking of which, I wanna mention this. I'm not sure who it is, so I am not going to mention any names before we get out of here. There was a gathering, and this is why we talk about mental health. There was a gathering 3 blocks over from where I live that resulted in a fatality and a person being critically wounded. Now, I don't know the who.
This is past Saturday?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the who. Yeah, I don't know the who's, the what's, or the whys. I know just the where. And somebody had posted on Facebook about how it affected them. So this is why your mental health becomes very, very critical, because the people who were around that situation will have to carry that with them for the rest of their life. This is as sad as this is going to sound. This is why I tend not to hang out at certain events, especially with certain crowds. Sorry to say it, but just some people just don't understand the ramifications of their actions. Let me go a step further. They may not care about the ramifications of their actions. So to avoid having to deal with that kind of angst, I just rather not go. Now, for me personally speaking, when the event was being held, I was at home in the bed sleep, because that's my normal sleeping hour. So I tend to not have to worry about not attending those type of things, because they conflict with my work work schedule. But people, I cannot stress enough. Be mindful of where you go and the people that are going there. Because and it's not just, with minorities, it's anywhere, because anything can happen anywhere at any time. That's why I'm always mindful of my surroundings, my environment, because a lot of people, they out here to do damage, and they simply put, they don't care. So, that's gonna be my closing statement. Be careful out there. This world is, for a lot of people, is becoming treacherous and unsafe. All right, so be careful.
I feel that. I feel that definitely. Anita, you got any closing comments?
Um, well, what I had to say, I already basically said. If somebody doesn't feel like it's a genuine forgiveness towards somebody and they're okay with it, don't forgive them. That's all I got to say. If it ain't hurting your mental health about not forgiving them, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to forgive people if it's not genuine.
Yeah. And a lot of things are not genuine. And I want to piggyback on what Herb said. You know, things are put out there to be safe, but you don't never know the spirit of other individuals. You never know what's on their mindset. So I'm leery of being in situations that I don't know what the outcome is. All it takes is one individual, they got enemies, and they say, oh, he there. Because you also got to remember when we always talk about back in our days, will news travel faster now because people could say, he's here, right here. Take a picture of him, pull up, and you roll up. Back in our days, we didn't have to worry about that. So for innocent bystanders could say, oh, this is supposed to be a nice event, and you show up. You don't know when you're going to get caught up in the crossfire of anything. So me personally, I've done it. I've done it at my age to be out at clubs and bars and all that stuff. First of all, I think they be ripping you off. I'd rather be at a personal function or, as we used to say, a session in somebody's house, and you bring your own bottle and you do what you got to do, and you're safe for the most part than just being out and about. It ain't the same. You can think it's a peaceful situation, but all it takes is one interaction. You could be a woman, and it could be a guy that's pressing you, and you innocent, shooting that person down. I'm not interested. But meanwhile, that guy has a woman, and one of his woman's friends is out, and she said, "Oh, he coming at her hard." Snap a picture, like you might want to come up here, and she comes up, and all hell's break out, and you clueless. You just was out just having a good time, and you didn't even know. But that guy brought this toxic situation. Now this woman that came up and she raised her hell, and she ain't coming for him. She coming for you. Unfortunately, now you don't understand how two or three women and jumped on your ass, and you just went out minding your business. It ain't worth it. It sounds good. It ain't worth it. Be safe. Stay away from harm and do what you got to do. But a lot of people don't understand that. Ain't for me to tell them. I just don't. In this day and age, I just understand that this generation that's coming up, they don't get it, and they coming out. Things is absolutes for them. They finalizing shit. Well, we used to try to knuckle up and do things. They finalizing shit, and you want to put yourself in that risk. Music, drinks, alcohol, all you could do that. You could do all that in a safe environment. Sometimes you may be stimulated to see somebody different. They're all the same. It's probably the same riff raff that shifted through. Don't do it. Be safe, especially as you get older. Bullets don't have no names. Knives get stabbed, whatever. So, and I know this. You probably like, oh, that closing comment, but no, it. This stuff is personal because people seem to glorify certain things, and tragedy situations end up happening. And for the young man, I've seen his face around. I don't think I know him personally, but from what I read and from what I seen, I'm like, damn, did he deserve that? Like for real? Yeah, I was supposed to be member. It's supposed to be a memory of people that passed on that might have been in situations, and then he get. It was so much to that stuff. Like I'm like wow. Like I said, I didn't seen him on social media, and it was kind of. I kind of thought about like, damn, it's real out here. And some people, whatever it was, whether he was the target or something, and somebody came back at him, they had no forgiveness in their heart. They was coming for him. And that's how you end up in fatal situations. How you prevent that? Stay secluded, keep your company safe, and don't be in situations that where you don't have no control over. Um, and that's all I got to offer. None of this stuff is 100% bulletproof, but you try to minimize it because we're in a different zone and a different time now, people, and you got to be safe. Especially as we get older, we want to preserve our years. We don't want to be caught up in crossfires and all that stuff. Because these young people, that's the game they want to play. I always say to myself, if I go somewhere and I see somebody that's the child of somebody my age, that ain't the place for me. Ain't the place for me. Too many. The generation gap is so too different to be a part of that. And I know this is a long closing comment, but when you see tragedy happen in Niagara Falls, Buffalo, and all that, in small areas, it kind of hit home. Uh, we just got to do better, but we got to do better for ourselves and say, I don't want to put myself in no position to be harmed because I'm sure when he stepped out that day, he didn't think he was going to die. And he died. Shout out to the rest in peace, brother, and his family members. Peace and condolences and all that. A sad situation. And probably the thing is, it's probably somebody we all broke bread with and have young. It seems to me that people don't understand that death is final. That's it. So I try to. I don't want to be in harm's way of nothing. So I stay low key. That's it. That's all. I know what my task is tomorrow. I got a bunch of middle schoolers coming in, and all they want to do is get their schedule and go to class. Are they going to class for the right reason, or they just want to socialize? We don't know. It ain't for me to determine, but I'm gonna give them what they there for, and then it's up to them what they got to do. And that's the same thing for y'all. You can go somewhere, whatever you're trying to get out of it, you may get, but you also got to deal with something that you may not want. to be a part of. So that's that. All right, good people. Appreciate you all. On to the next one. We out. Everybody be safe, be well, and always be mindful and pay attention to your surroundings. Because some people ain't, their mindset ain't your mindset, and you don't know what they're thinking. That's all. All right, we out. Peace.
Yep. Good night.
Well,
Good night.
take care.